Can we do word association?
Why?
Just I like to, and we'll see if you got any better.
But I didn't.
But we could try.
Fine, go.
Okay. Light.
Bulb.
Pokemon.
Pikachu.
Lightning.
Strike.
Baseball.
Bat.
Vampire.
Blood.
Ew. I almost said never mind. Red.
Crips.
The fact that you, little white girl, just said that made my whole life.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. OneSkin's products are powered by their scientifically proven peptide called OS1. This peptide reduces the accumulation of damaged and aging cells, the cells that make your skin less resilient and more prone to lines and wrinkles. And instead of masking these issues, OneSkin is addressing them at the cellular level, boosting your skin's natural barrier to lock in moisture and help protect against the elements. They have a full line of face and body products, including the OS01 Shield, an SPF that prevents UV-induced aging and repairs cellular aging all at the same time, guys. It's literally magic in a bottle. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company by focusing on the cellular aspects of aging. OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. So get started today with 15% off using code ADVICE at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code ADVICE. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. So please do me a favor and support our show and tell them that we sent you there. New year, healthier skin. That's OneSkin. Help your skin stay younger and healthier for longer with OneSkin. Today's episode is brought to you by Cora. Honestly, I'm always looking for the best products for my skin, my hair, literally everything. And it blows my mind that I hadn't really thought that much about the products that I use down there. That's right. I'm talking about period products. Believe me, guys, they are not all created equally. That is why I'm so happy that I found Cora and that we are sponsored by Cora, the period care brand that you can feel good about using. If you haven't tried Cora yet, now is the time. I love that Cora has comfortable pads for all of my needs, from liners for my lightest days to extra long overnight pads when I need that extra coverage. Cora's pads and liners are made with super soft and breathable 100% organic cotton top sheets, guys. Organic. We love that. Plus, they are gentle on sensitive skin and, best of all, made without chlorine, fragrances, or dyes. I feel good about choosing Cora, and I absolutely know that you guys will too. Pick up Cora pads and tampons at your local Target or CVS, or order online and have them delivered directly to your door. Right now, get 20% off all Cora products at cora.life/advice and use our code ADVICE. This is a great deal, you guys. So don't wait. Get 20% off today at cora.life/advice with promo code ADVICE.
Are you guys a fan of the show? If you are, we have a VIP subscription that you can sign up to get much more of your girls here.
Become a premium subscriber and get access to exclusive episodes, ad-free listening, discounts on merch, and so much more. Plus, it's only $5 a month, which is way cheaper than your everyday latte.
To sign up, just go ahead and go to the show notes and you can click the link.
Also, if you have any stories that you would like us to read on our podcast, this is your moment to shine. Send your emails at, what's the email called, Taryne?
Advice, unsolicitedpod@gmail.com. It can be funny. It can be sad. It can be deep. It can be light. It can be your story. It can be a friend's. It could be short. It could be long. All shapes and sizes are welcome. So send it in today. Should we be talking about gangs on our podcast?
I literally was just talking about this the other day because we were driving back from somewhere and someone had their lights off. You know, at night when someone has their lights off and you like flash them to let them know that they're...
Oh, yeah. That was an initiation, right?
Yeah. So I literally told Jackson, he was like, oh, that guy doesn't have his lights on. And I was like, don't flash them.
They'll shoot you.
And he was like, because of the initiation thing. And I was like, you heard about that too?
Oh, everyone did.
He was like, yeah, but he was from Colorado. Like, hearing about it in LA is one thing. But he said he heard about it growing up in Colorado. And I was like, that's insane, because we would always talk about it in school because we were like, oh, yeah, like LA, that's where all the gangs are, and here's what they do, so you don't do that.
Yeah, we were so scared.
But it makes more sense because we were like in the general area, you know, like I wasn't in LA, but like,
Yeah,
it makes sense for us to hear rumors from LA. Anyways, he said that he also grew up hearing those rumors, and that's why it came to my head when you said. Anyways,
wow.
welcome back to Unsolicited Advice.
Welcome back.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Taryne.
And we are your hosts for today.
We are your
Welcome
hosts.
back to another episode of advice.
I can't tell if I just got my sense of smell back or did someone spray like perfume? Do you smell that?
No.
Maybe I just got my scent. I haven't been able to smell for the past few
Taryne's
days.
been on her allergy deathbed.
Yep.
For about a week. About a week ago.
I'm strongly considering cutting out all my friends who have cats.
Well, it's also been raining like crazy out here in LA, and things are green, and we're not used to that, you know?
Yeah, but
we're not used to that.
I don't think I have as much of like because I'll sneeze. I definitely have seasonal allergies slightly, but mine that like puts me on my deathbed is like cat dander or hair or something getting on me. And I hung out with my friend who has cats, and one hug. It did it.
And that's all it took.
It did it. And I've been down for the count for like 2 days. So
more than that.
Has
we
it
were
been
supposed to
more than
record last week.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, dude, it was a long one.
That's crazy.
Which allergies, I kept thinking like, oh, maybe I'm sick now. But everything I like researched, allergy attacks, like really bad ones, can last for like a long time.
Yeah, they totally can.
Wow. Well, welcome back. Taryne's nose. Also, this is like same topic but different. I was listening to, it was like the start of Crime Junkie, but then it sparked this thought that I've been thinking about a lot. And she was just like, okay, like what would you do if you were driving on the freeway and you saw someone like running and screaming and a car was like chasing them? Like, would you stop and like help them?
Sorry, I'm driving?
Yeah, like you're on the freeway and you see a girl in my car. You see a girl running and screaming in a car
on the freeway.
Or I don't know, just in general. I think she said freeway specifically, but like in general, if you're driving your car, you see someone running and screaming and there's a car kind of chasing them. Like I think all of us initially would be like, oh yeah, we would do something or we would stop and help. But she was saying specifically there's this case where this happened in the middle of rush hour traffic and nobody helped. And that girl ended up getting like murdered.
Hit by a car?
No, like captured and murdered. And then I started thinking about, because this is something I've talked about with a lot of friends, because we all grew up in this era where we were told to be careful because there was all these like things happening, right? Like it was, if you flash your lights, you could get shot in an initiation. If you get rear-ended late at night, like
don't get out of your car.
Drive somewhere public before you get out. There was like all these things we were told to watch out for. And one of them was like, be careful because people will sometimes put like fake blood and pretend they just got in an accident. And then when you stop to help them, you'll get ambushed. So it's crazy because I think a lot of times the reason people don't want to stop and help is because they're scared of also getting into their own thing.
Yeah. And I think we're also a society of like, it's not my business.
Yeah. Like mind your own business. But I think we all think like we would do something. And it's so sad because you hear these stories where if like one person would have like called 911 or like stopped and helped someone
or asked one question,
those people would be alive still.
Yeah,
so anyways, that's all day I've been thinking about that because I'm like, I have to help them, but I'm also scared.
Yeah, it's a very tricky situation, but in the end, it's better to be like, oh, sorry, you just wanted to make sure, than wonder if they're okay.
For sure.
You know?
Woof, man. Wow. We got dark very fast.
I mean, you took us there.
I did take us there, but Why
are we talking about Crime Junkie?
I more just wanted everyone to be in my headspace so I'm not like alone, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, our podcast is not about getting murdered.
No, it is not.
No?
Not
we talk about
right
it
now.
An alarming amount.
Yeah, we do.
But that is just being a girl. I think a big fear of girls is getting captured and murdered. So that's where our obsession comes.
True crime is trending.
We're trying to hear about it and we're trying to learn.
What are we talking about?
And we're trying to get ahead of it. That's where we're at.
Speaking of true crime, I did finish True Detective and I hated it.
Okay. we were just
Hated it.
talking about this because I liked the season with Matthew McConaughey.
Everyone did.
And yes, was
also,
it super...
did you know that was 2014?
Shut up.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually kind of nuts.
Uh-huh.
I will say, like, yes, super dark, suspenseful, like definitely like kept you on the edge of your seat.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw there was a new season and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna watch it. But then I saw a scene from TikTok and it looked like it was like a zombie person coming to life and like yelling at someone in a hospital bed. And I was like, I have absolutely no interest.
Yeah.
It looked terrifying.
I love this show. And this was by far the scariest of all the seasons. Felt very unnecessary.
No.
And not really.
I don't have time.
Didn't really like fit in with like the plot now that I've seen the whole thing. The ending was very much.
Spoiler alert.
I'm not. Yes, there will be zero spoilers, to be clear. But
also kind of spoiler. Because you know how when you're like,
I don't.
You'll tell someone like, oh my gosh, the ending was such a big twist, and that kind of like spoils because
you're like, oh,
at
there's
the
a
end
twist.
you're
It's
like,
not what
well,
you
I think it's going this way.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Yeah, zero spoilers. But I did peruse the internet before coming to record today, and everyone was like, so they're not going to explain anything. Like, so this makes zero sense. So the ending is just so not fair, and it could have been so cool. And I was very disappointed.
That
and
sucks.
the way that because they took years to bring True Detective back, and they did such a cool thing. There were so many like hidden Easter eggs within this last season that all pointed to McConaughey's first season.
Oh,
and it
cool.
all pointed to like McConaughey in season 1 says he's from Alaska, which is where the season is. And it turns out that one of the characters that we see in this season is McConaughey's dad. So it's a prequel to the first one. And there were so many nods to the first season, and it just felt so epic. And then the ending happened, and I was not a fan.
That
bummed me out.
It is really hard when the ending, I have multiple theories about this that I've talked about. When the ending of a show sucks because you're like, I just wasted my time.
Yeah.
But also, for me, I'm like, I'm living life.
Yeah.
Okay? I deal with disappointment 24/7.
Yeah.
I never get the boy. I always get the flat tire. I always get the this. When I escape into a movie or TV, I want the world to work.
Yeah.
I don't want to be met with, well, it was realistic. I don't care. I live in reality.
Yeah.
I'm good.
No one wants reality.
I'm good.
Yeah, we want fantasy.
We want the fantasy.
But speaking of reality, have you seen the Lover Stalker Killer documentary?
I told you about it.
Wait, but so you watched it?
Yeah.
I finally watched it.
You did? Wait,
yes.
Like within the last few days?
I watched it yesterday.
I'm so proud of you. Okay, wait, let's talk about it.
It was so good.
Okay, I say this like obviously like lightly because it's not, murder's never funny. Not funny, but never. I don't know what I'm saying.
We
but
know.
I'm going to continue. Anyways.
We're aware.
Wasn't it refreshing that the girl was the crazy?
Yes.
I was like,
yes.
Women empowerment.
Yes.
Let's get some women murdering men.
I was like, that. Yep. It happens. And unfortunately, stereotypically, it's the other way around. But like, it was like, yeah.
And wasn't she much more of a, not entertaining, because again, it's not funny, but like she was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the twist and turn of that, I'm like, a woman would be like, here's the whole show. The commitment?
The commitment. It was really, really good. We said absolutely zero spoilers. So definitely take a second to go check out that one and let us know what you guys think, because I thought that was really, really good.
I thought
really
it was
well
done. Yeah, it was a good documentary, and it was a good just reminder of like being careful, having your eyes out, all this stuff. And I think honestly, I feel like statistics I've heard before that like men deal with a lot of stuff but will never report it because they feel embarrassed by like, oh, I have a stalker, or I have like, I'm scared of this girl that I met. So I think it's good that they did that, because I think it is like a group that needs to be more vocal about. I mean, it's not
1,000%.
Yeah, it's not right for anyone to have to like live in fear. But I am, stalkers are very scary.
Yeah. Okay. And then one last show thing.
Okay.
One last one. And then I swear I'm done. I think I told you about it before, but have you watched Murder at the End of the World yet?
No, I thought someone told me not to. They said the ending was bad.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, what am I thinking about? Is that the one with Julia Roberts?
No.
Okay, then I'm thinking about something different.
It's I couldn't even tell you who's in it.
Murder at the End of the World. I haven't watched
Oh
that.
my God, it's so good. I have a crush on one of the guys.
I'm telling Jackson.
Oh my God. It's such a great show. And I want you to watch it so we can talk about it.
Okay, first of all, why are you yelling at me when you just told me about it?
No, I've told you about it before.
You have? Sorry.
Yes.
I have ADHD, actually.
Yes.
Okay, I'll watch it. Maybe I'll watch it. Oh, no, never mind. I'm staying with you all day. Tomorrow.
Yeah, you
tomorrow
should
night.
definitely start it tomorrow and then text me. I got Alicia to watch it.
Oh, if Alicia watched it, I'll be fine.
She loved it. And so I want us to all talk about it.
Okay.
I need people to talk about it with.
I'll watch it and then we'll talk about it next week.
Perfect, Pinky.
Cool.
How have you been, Taryne?
I've been great. I've been vibing. I've been thriving.
She's living alone,
living the dream. Yeah, no, life is great right now. I feel like it's like transition, but I really want to like start habit stacking. So I want to start like doing some small things and like marinating, then going again. I've been like getting very inspired by like little things I've been seeing. So the first one, I think I'm gonna buy one of those treadmills, the walking ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Alicia's.
Does she not use it?
She never used it. She loved it, and then
Do you think
she's such an impulse buyer.
She is such an
It's really bad. She's aware. This isn't
so
gossip.
Am I, so I can't.
No one needs to worry about me gossiping about her. It's not a secret. But she'll just buy stuff, use it for a month, and then it's literally sitting in the garage.
I'm literally gonna text her and say, "Can I have it?"
She might still want it, or I don't know, but there's a chance it's literally in the garage.
Cool. Yeah, I want to start walking daily, and I think I've come to the age where I'm like, I know myself. And like I've had a gym in my apartment. It's beautiful. Do I ever go there? No. Could I like push harder to go there? Yeah. But I also am like, once I get my apartment, I'm like locked in for the night. So I feel like that'll be a good thing to like get me. But I think that's the first habit I want to start forming is just to like try to walk either in the morning or night, like 30 minutes a day. So that's my newest thing.
I love that.
I'm going to habit stack.
May I suggest something?
Sure.
The Habit app. It's called the Habit app.
Okay.
And I have been using it to track my runs. I can show you. Well, I'm not going to. It's a waste of time. It's called Habit. It's amazing. It's fully customizable, so it could be for whatever habit you want. I show it in my reels all the time, but I do 10 minutes of no phone. I do 3 water bottles. I do an hour of exercise. 6 miles running every week, and then something else I couldn't tell you, but I daily keep track of it, and it has a little, guys, it's so fun. You can color code it. You can have like whatever emoji you want for it. It could be reading. It could be any habit whatsoever. It even has a little widget that can go on the front face of your phone so that you just tap it, add a water bottle if you just drank it, and then you'll see your progress go up, and it tracks it monthly, yearly. You can print out like everything. It's so fun. It's free, and it's like super cute and fun, and makes it so much fun.
Send it to me.
Every time I finish a water bottle, I'm like, click. Yeah, every time I finish a workout, I'm like, click. And it's just at the end of the day, I'll look at it and it'll be like, you did it.
You did it.
And I live for it. I live for that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, I went to my first golf tour.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Golf is interesting.
Yeah.
Golf is a hard sport to like watch, but
it's very slow. The alcohol helped. And I went with a group of friends, and its tea time was like 8.
Yeah, it's early.
In the morning. So I haven't had alcohol before 10 a.m. in a really long time.
Yeah.
It was a lot, but it was so much fun, and I'd go again.
Yeah.
I'd go again. I did mess up and wear jeans.
Yeah.
But so apparently it was a really chill event because everyone there was wearing jeans.
Yeah. Well, you went to a tournament that's known for like fun.
I thought you don't wear jeans to golf. And then apparently there's chill ones that you can.
Yeah. Well, there's there's like fun ones or like waste management where like everyone goes in like parties and stuff. And then there's like the serious ones where you have to be really quiet and all that stuff.
I always thought like it was like polo required, but evidently not. Anyways. There's one more thing I was going to say. Oh, should we tell them to subscribe to our subscription service?
Yeah, do it.
Guys, we have a subscription service and you should join. You can be a VIP listener with all the other VIP listeners.
Yep.
This is extra bonus content of Taryne and I, little shorty stories that don't make it to this podcast go there. And we are incorporating scary stories every single month.
Yep.
As well as AMAs. So all the good stuff is going on there. It's really cheap, very affordable, and plenty of bonus weekly content for you guys.
Yes.
So check it out.
Do it to it.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. Did you know it's important to shift your skincare with the seasons? Things like dry, flaky skin, redness, even fine lines and wrinkles are a reflection of what's happening at the cellular level, which makes so much sense. So give your skin the TLC it needs to stay healthy, smooth, and hydrated as we move into the warmer weather. OneSkin's products are powered by their scientifically proven peptide called OS1. This peptide reduces the accumulation of damaged and aging cells, the cells that make your skin less resilient and more prone to lines and wrinkles. And instead of masking these issues, OneSkin is addressing them at the cellular level, boosting your skin's natural barrier to lock in moisture and help protect against the elements. They have a full line of face and body products, including the OS01 Shield, an SPF that prevents UV-induced aging and repairs cellular aging all at the same time, guys. It's literally magic in a bottle. And the best part is it's so easy to fit into your current skincare routine. All you have to do is cleanse, pat your skin dry, apply twice daily. So like once in the morning and once at night. I'm absolutely obsessed and I'm so excited to be protecting my body against all of these elements and helping it transition from winter to summer. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company by focusing on the cellular aspects of aging. OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. So get started today with 15% off using code ADVICE at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code ADVICE. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. So please do me a favor and support our show and tell them that we sent you there. New year, healthier skin. That's OneSkin. Help your skin stay younger and healthier for longer with OneSkin.
All right, Ash, let's go.
All right. You ready for tearing it up?
Yep.
This one is called An Interview, a Rolling Chair and Heels. Hey, lovelies. This just happened last week, and of course, I had to write it in to my two favorite podcasters, aka us.
Love that.
I am an undergrad for economics at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and want to go to law school. So I applied for an internship placement program a few weeks ago. I got in, she has parentheses, yay, and just had the interview for the final placement this morning. I was running late, but broke so many speed limits, and I ended up getting there early, LOL. I'm dressed all cute with my heels and purse and feeling good about everything. I walk in, shake the office director's hand, and she leads me into the conference room. We're politely conversing about our holidays, and I go to sit down, and the chair rolls out from underneath me.
Oof.
That's right. The chair has wheels, and it rolls out from underneath me. I splat on my butt, legs out, and everything, and the chair rolls clear across the room. I'm so embarrassed, of course. But I quickly get up and say, well, I made myself memorable, right?
That's a great... See, that's what I'm talking about.
That's how
you just
bounce
need
back.
that like recovery line and you're
Yes,
fine.
That's how you bounce back. I did something similar. Let me finish this and I'll tell you. We both laugh. Thankfully, she's super sweet lady. Thankfully, she is a super sweet lady. And the interview went really well after that. I got the job and it's something I'm passionate about. Anyways, thank you so much for all the hard work you both put into this podcast. You are both so wise, funny, and encouraging. And I love the perspective you bring to everything. Plus, I'm loving the Supercast.
Wow. We didn't even pay her to say that.
She's not a paid actor in any way. That was real, authentic love for Supercast. She writes, much love, Sydney.
That's
I did
rough.
something similar back in high school. As I was transitioning, I just finished high school going into college. One of my friends wanted to work at a hotel that was being built in the area. So I go to apply with her because she was scared. And I was just supposed to be like her, like support there. I walk in and they hand me an application. So I was like, okay, I'll just fill it out for like and giggles. So I go to write it out, but I'm not taking it seriously because I'm not going out for the job. And I spell my name wrong. I spelt my name, my last name wrong. Like I spelt it wrong. And I was so embarrassed, but I was like, well, I got to get another piece of paper. So then I go to hand the guy the application. I was like, hi, can I get another one? And he was like, why do you need another one? And I was like, oh, nothing. I just need another one. And he was like, why? And he was like, very adamant.
Why did he ask so much? I don't feel like that's that crazy to be like, oh, I made a mistake.
I was like, I spelt my name wrong. And he goes, you what? And I was like, I spelt my name wrong. And he was like, just scratch it out. And I was like, no, because you're not going to hire the girl who can't spell her name.
Yeah.
I got the job. My friend didn't.
Oof.
And I swear it's because I didn't think about it, but I made a memorable interaction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Woof, man.
Yep.
Wow. What a savage friend.
Don't spell your name right. You'll get the job.
Or honestly, I could see that backfiring as well.
99% of the time. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the first story. This one is titled How to Not Be Jealous of My Boyfriend's quote unquote sister. The quotes got me. I was like, intrigue.
Quote unquote?
Yeah. Hi, Ash and Taryne. I would love to stay anonymous. I just want to say that I love you guys in the podcast. I've been listening for years, and you two have truly become a part of my Monday routine.
Oh, love that.
I want to try and keep this email sweet and short. I've never heard it sweet and short. Isn't it
short and sweet?
Yeah.
But I love switching it up.
Yeah. But I know your advice on it will be extremely helpful. I'm 24 years old and have been in a relationship with a guy for about 7 months. Let's call him Jack. Even though our relationship is still new, it feels like it's been a lifetime in all the best ways. Dare I even say he's the one. To sum it all up, he checks off all the boxes. He respects me, loves me, does more than the bare minimum. Wow, rarity. And overall treats me the way every girl should be treated. Now you're probably wondering, well, what's the problem then? The problem that I've been struggling with recently is how Jack has a quote unquote sister. That's what Jack calls her, who isn't related by blood, but instead has known him since he was little and they practically grew up together.
Oh.
I've known about her since the beginning of our relationship, and even though it didn't sit completely right with me then, I never mentioned anything to him for a couple of reasons. The reasons being that our relationship was still very new and I didn't want to seem crazy or controlling, which would have driven him away. She is very well known and loved by his family and friends since they're all super close. However, recently I feel as if some boundaries have been crossed between them and I can't seem to stop thinking about it, and it's low-key driving me crazy. A few examples would be how they text and FaceTime a lot, have hung out one-on-one. He asks her for her opinion on the same things like he would ask me for my opinion. They have each other's locations and their messages are pinned, and they have future plans to do things together with just the two of them. I know it's coming from both sides equally, but I can't help but feel like she would be chosen over me, or that we stand equal in priority, and I know she's not leaving the picture anytime soon. I also know that Jack is extremely loyal and would never do anything like cheat, nor do I think there's feelings between them. I just can't help but feel like boundaries are crossed and I get uncomfortable or sad with how close they are. Am I crazy or controlling for feeling this way? Should I talk to him about it? And if so, do I blindside him or wait till something between them happens and then bring it up? I struggle with vulnerability and communication, but so far with other problems, it's been easy to communicate to Jack about how I feel. I would love your advice on how to bring it up and what to say so it doesn't become a messy argument. Thank you so much for reading this. And if it doesn't get picked, it still helps me a lot to write it out. Love, Anonymous.
Wow. That is tricky. When you said, quote, sister, I didn't fully process.
Yeah.
But now I get it. And I see how difficult that could be, essentially feeling like there's another woman in his life.
For sure.
That is a threat.
For sure.
Because she's same age, like, and obviously a friend.
Yeah.
I feel like with stuff like this, I feel like it goes a long way to include someone in something you're struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular instance, I think it would be really helpful to be like, hey, I almost don't even want to bring this up because I'm embarrassed and I don't want to put you in a situation that's uncomfortable, but I don't want to keep you out of the loop either. I've been feeling very insecure with your relationship with her, and I know you guys have a great friendship, and I don't want that to end because I think what you have is beautiful. And it's not that I don't trust you, but I feel like I'm in a weird place with her, and I don't trust her. And I would love to get to a place where I feel comfortable and safe with her. But when you hang out with just her or when you text just her, it doesn't leave room for me. And that's where I feel like we need to figure something out. Does that make sense? Like helping him see that it's not him, that it's not that you don't trust him and that it's not that you don't like her, but it's a very gray area to navigate by yourself. And it would be very helpful if he would start including you in all of those things so that you wouldn't question him or her.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, like you're right around that age where
What age again?
24. So I feel like the younger you are, the more it was like, oh, it's so normal for like guys and girls to hang out all the time. I had a best friend that was a guy. And then like, I know for me, I was like, oh, he's always going to be my best friend, whatever. We ended up having like a freaking terrible friendship breakup. But that aside, when I started dating my ex, I very quickly started noticing that certain things fazed him. And I made the choice of like, ooh, I need to like be conscious about how like I'm affecting him. And I think like I would definitely recommend talking to him. And I think one of the main points to bring up is like, because I don't think it's not like you need to call them out like they've done something wrong.
Right.
But I think just reminding him like, I know that in your mind, you are like, I've known her my whole life. Our relationship is so innocent. But what you have to remember is like, I haven't known her my whole life. Like I haven't been a part of this friendship my whole life. I'm just dating you. And if you are able to just like take a second and think about it from an outside perspective, typically it's not normal for a girl to be like, oh, my boyfriend's off hanging out with this like really cool girl by himself. And they text and FaceTime all the time. And her message is pinned right next to mine. Like, and it's kind of making him see like, I get that it's your relationship and I want us to have this open thing so we're both comfortable with it, but you have to understand, and I want you to at least be able to acknowledge like this is not something that is typical and that I've ever had to deal with, and it does make me feel insecure, and it does make me like a little bit uneasy when I just like hear you guys talking about all these like hangs and these things you guys are doing one-on-one. Like, so I would love us to like figure out like what are some boundaries that we're both comfortable with. Because I think that it is okay for him to also, just like I had to, realize like, oh, like maybe he's never had like a serious relationship, so he's never had to like create that space. But there does come an age, and right around 24, I stopped investing in my guy friendships as much as I had before, because I recognized like someday I'm going to get married, and it's not like I'm going to be calling up like, hey Chad, like let's go, like want to go get coffee, or like let's go see a movie like I used to. Like I'm going to like want to respect my partner, and like a guy friendship, I'm not going to want to go run to him and tell him like what I'm struggling with my person. Like, so I shifted and started investing in girl friendships that I knew would be able to like stay the same, if not closer, for the rest of my life, because it's a tricky thing, and everyone has a different level of comfort, but obviously your level of comfort is not the same as like what he's thinking. And so I think there's a way to bring it up and just say, hey, I want to talk to you about this before it gets to a point where I'm like really upset about it. So I know you questioned like, should I bring it up now or wait till something happens? I wouldn't wait till something happens, because then it leaves that room of defensiveness. Because if you're like, hey, you hung out with her for like 5 hours and just didn't answer your phone, then he's going to be defensive. Whereas if you can just sit with him and be like, hey, like, I'm going to be honest, like, I really like you and I really like where things are going. And I want to bring this up so that I have a better understanding, but I also want you to hear like where I'm coming from, and I don't want this to be a confrontation, but would love for us to just like leave with clarity and then just like spill it out in this way that's very much just like, this is where I'm coming from. But I think sometimes when you wait for like something big to happen, then it's like there's so much more involved in that with like fresh emotions or like, oh, I have to present my case for this specific scenario, and the bigger picture gets lost in that specific scenario. You know what I mean?
And you also want to avoid issues with like, if you give him a heads up now, maybe he'll say no to a couple hangs because he's aware of how you're feeling, you know, and maybe he'll slow down, back down on like specifically the like one-on-one hangs. Texting doesn't bother me as much, but the in-person hangs, just the two of them, that's tough.
It's weird.
That's tough. And I do think I agree with Taryne. I think there's an age where it's not that guys and girls can't be friends, but there is an age where, or there's a period when every guy that I've ever been friends with, once they got a girlfriend, like our hangs changed, our texts changed. I never hung out with them one-on-one again. And I was very thoughtful of her when texting him. I don't text just him anymore. I text them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that text are a lot of my friends have group chats with my boyfriend, you know, and if they text him straight off, that's fine. I don't expect him to like not talk to my friends, but I think there's a respectful way of doing things if they don't have, out of respect for you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I feel like I worded that weirdly. But I think that does come along in every single relationship. And I think, you know, you need to sit down with yourself and figure out what the line is for you. If texting doesn't bother you as much, like it doesn't necessarily bother me as much, then like maybe let that one go. And that can be a good little negotiation for you to be like, hey, like, I'm not saying don't text her, she's your friend, like do that, but the one-on-one hangs specifically is what makes me uncomfortable. So like, can it be with groups? Like, can it be with other people?
There's not really like a reason for it.
No.
Because you should be able to like all be together. Like there shouldn't be a reason where it's like, oh, we just want to hang out by ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like for him, if I were him, I would be arranging hangs with the three of us. So like you and her could be getting closer if she like meant that much. Mm-hmm. Or maybe like you and her could form your own friendship and like hang out. And you know, if he's saying like, she's just really important to me and like I don't want her to leave from my life, then maybe like you and her go have coffee and like you just say straight up like, hey, I'm going to be honest, like this is like weird for me, mm-hmm. and talk to her. So if she's a good person, like I'm trying to think if I were in that scenario and I cared about a person and I also was like, I love you guys together, and she told me that, I would be very conscious about how I was acting and like making sure to include her and whatever. So I just think like sometimes people don't change the way they act because they don't understand how much it's affecting someone. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the first step is to just very, very neutrally, very clearly just present like, this is how I'm feeling and I just want you to know, and I want to also hear your side. And then if nothing's changed, or if it becomes a very like, I can do whatever I want, like I don't need your permission to talk to her, and then he keeps hanging out with her, mm-hmm. then I feel like that's gonna say a lot. But I would rather do it. You said you've been dating for 7 months. I would rather do it now and kind of see how things play out than to like date for like a year and then you have this big confrontation and then he does pick her over you. You know what I mean? Which I'm not saying he would. Like, you don't know that he would. But I definitely think a conversation needs to happen.
Yeah. It's like my best friend's wedding. I would watch that movie. I bet you'd relate a lot to it.
Don't watch it. It'll put a lot of fears in your head. But I think that's like, I do have that theory that it's very rare that a guy and girl friendship doesn't have at least one person that would be down if the other one was down. Yeah. Like I have that theory because I've lived it on both sides. Like guys that I'm like, no, we're just friends. And then it comes out that they wanted more, or me being like, yeah, we're totally just friends. But I'm like, but I love you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it makes sense why we all have that fear, because we've all had those experiences where we've seen that line get crossed.
No,
you know?
Totally. I like what Taryne said. I would try to pour into a friendship with her. Doesn't have to be a deep friendship, but next time you have a girls' night or you go out with some girlfriends, invite her. And don't make it a big deal. Don't even tell her what you're trying to do. Just be like, hey, I'm going out for drinks with my coworkers. Like, do you want to come?
Yeah.
And then like you can slowly just start letting her in on your life and let her see how cool you are and let her want to respect you, your wishes, and make you feel comfortable,
Yeah.
you know, not change her life in any way necessarily, but like make sure you are heard and seen and feel comfortable with her. And I think that's a great first start.
I think too, like, I hate the whole stigma on like, oh, this really bothers me, but I don't want to seem needy or I don't want to seem insecure. Like, there's so many things that all of us suffer in silence for that if we actually lived in a world where we could have healthy communication with people and just be like, hey, I want you to know, like, say I was texting Jackson a lot and you're like, I kind of don't like it. I would so much rather you be like, hey, I'm gonna be honest, like it makes me feel like a little bit weird. And then I could like be like, oh my gosh, and like know and change it.
Yeah.
Versus you like every time you see his phone go off and you're like, is that Taryne? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like it sucks so much because I think a lot of times we just suffer in silence with these scenarios that a lot of times it's just like someone's not aware that they're doing something that's bothering you. But if it's on the flip side where someone just does not care how they impact you, either way, addressing it is going to show which side you're on. And if you are in a friendship where someone doesn't care the way they're affecting you, boy, bye. If you're in a friendship that they just weren't aware, then change happens and then boom, you're done. Instead of like years of tension building up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just feel like we all need to be better at both being gracious when people come to us about like something bothered them. Like you don't need to get defensive. Just hear it and communicate healthily. And then also speaking out when we feel like this kind of like has bothered me, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
Ugh. It'd make the world so much better.
It would make the world so much easier.
It would world peace.
World peace.
Literally.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cora. Honestly, I'm always looking for the best products for my skin, my hair, literally everything. And it blows my mind that I hadn't really thought that much about the products that I use down there. That's right. I'm talking about period products. Believe me, guys, they are not all created equally. That is why I'm so happy that I found Cora and that we are sponsored by Cora, the period care brand that you can feel good about using. If you haven't tried Cora yet, now is the time. I love that Cora has comfortable pads for all of my needs, from liners for my lightest days to extra long overnight pads when I need that extra coverage. It's so great to not have to stress about leaks. Cora's pads are designed with patented smart channels for up to 8 hours of leak protection, which is absolutely insane. And I also just appreciate that Cora's pads are like lightweight and airy, super comfortable to wear. Cora's pads and liners are made with super soft and breathable 100% organic cotton top sheets, guys. Organic. We love that. Plus, they are gentle on sensitive skin and best of all, made without chlorine, fragrances, or dyes. And mine and Taryne's favorite part is with every purchase, Cora provides period products and body education to people who might otherwise go without it. I love how they're giving back. I feel good about choosing Cora, and I absolutely know that you guys will too. Pick up Cora pads and tampons at your local Target or CVS, or order online and have them delivered directly to your door. Right now, get 20% off all Cora products at cora.life/advice and use our code advice. This is a great deal, you guys. So don't wait. Get 20% off today at cora.life/advice with promo code advice. All right, well, should we get into mine?
Would love, Ash.
We're really switching things up with this email.
Are we?
And I got excited because this is the kind of, anyways, we're taking a left turn.
Okay.
Switching it up. This one is titled, How Do I Recover from Church Hurt? AKA, I was in a cult.
Oh, dear God. That's scary.
Let's dive in. Hello, ladies. I would like to remain anonymous, but you can know my name. A little bit about myself. I am a type 2 Enneagram, a senior in college, and a day one listener. A day one.
We love you,
A
day
day
oneers.
oneer. I have looked up to you guys as my big sisters for years now. Thank you for making a safe space online and a community full of love.
You get us.
Okay, now on to my story. I was raised in a very strict Christian church. This church was my whole life for the entirety of my childhood. I attended regularly every Sunday and Wednesday. It was also the norm in this community to homeschool your kids, so all of my friends and all of my friendships were within the church. It is only now in my last year of college that I have discovered deep wounds in my heart that I still hold onto after all these years. To make things easier, let's call this church, quote, Hillcrest. Hillcrest was a small church run by a family, she adds in parentheses, first red flag.
Yeah.
Hillcrest had opinions on everything. The music I could or could not listen to, the clothes that were acceptable to wear, the boys that I was allowed to date. In the example of clothing, girls got it the hardest.
Duh.
We once had the whole sermon on this, quote, issue, saying if we women wouldn't abide by Hillcrest standards, our church summer camp would be canceled as punishment. These standards included wearing shorts that went past our knees, no writing or designs on our t-shirts because that would lead boys to looking at our chests. Which
Can I just say,
that irks me so much.
I have such a hard time with like that topic because of, I think for me, two things. One, it's so annoying because boy fashion, like what is going to be, unless a guy's literally walking into a public place with his shirt off, which like,
they do, but it's fine for them to do that.
I'm saying like church,
Yeah.
like what, a boy's going to walk in with his shirt off? No, like it's not even like a question. Like they're either wearing a t-shirt or like a button up, or even if they wore tight pants, it's not crazy. Like it's just, it's not the same and it sucks. But also that pressure of being told that it's my responsibility to make a guy not stumble or do what he's going to do.
Yeah,
like
and not a guy, every guy at church.
And the pressure that I started feeling it very, very young because I am curvier. So like I got boobs and a butt like when I was a lot younger, and I would be told things about like, I remember even in high school, like our cheer uniforms, like I had a big butt. So like my skirt would always be shorter because that's just what happens when you have a big backside. Like, or certain things I would wear and I would be told that I was being inappropriate or I looked inappropriate or, you know, like just getting in trouble for things that I was so confused because like literally I have always dressed more like on the modest side, but probably because of that, like I was always just worried about, you know, when you're curvier, you can wear the same shirt as someone who doesn't have as much of a chest and it just looks more sexual on you.
It's the same thing with girls with long legs.
Yeah.
They would wear the same shorts and they looked way shorter on them.
For sure. So it's just so frustrating to me because I think, especially as young girls in the church, like you're not taught to do it out of like, you know, like, for me, I would have rather had someone be like, be careful because men are gross. Like, tell me something like that than, oh, like, you can't make men feel this way. Like, it's not my fault if they're like perverts. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's
your boy in check.
It's so annoying how somehow that is still like a woman's responsibility instead of us teaching young boys how to respect a woman and how to like not see their bodies as like something for their use. You know what I mean? Like it just...
No, believe me.
It irks me.
I know. We all know. Okay, let's continue. And the worst of it all, weak girls were required to wear dark-colored boys' basketball shorts and t-shirts as swimsuits.
That's a common thing, though.
I almost drowned at a summer camp wearing that exact thing. And I just remember being like, my death is on your hands.
Yeah.
I took it off. I was like, this is bullshit. And that was the start of, anyways.
Another thing though, sorry. We had to wear one pieces. That was like a common thing at church things. But I remember I was wearing a one piece, but again, because I had curves, I got told that my bathing suit wasn't appropriate and had to put a t-shirt on when like all my friends who were like these little sticks didn't have to.
Yeah.
And I remember being like feeling guilty or like I was being inappropriate when really it was just like, I was way too young to process that. You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways, continue.
All right, here we go. Another example of these rigid rules. Boys and girls were not allowed to touch each other. And by this, I mean we were actually required to stay 6 inches away from each other at all times. This was called the 6-inch rule, original, and was heavily enforced. The first time I ever hugged one of my guy friends was during my sophomore year of college. The kicker is, as soon as you turn 18, it is expected that you are now searching for a mate. You can imagine how confusing this was, going from being told that I can't even look in a guy's direction
So now you have to marry one?
yeah, and that it's wrongful and it's a sin, to now being expected to get married and have kids immediately.
Which I'm sure no one was talking to them about,
No.
like what that entailed.
If you can't look at a guy,
Entailed.
how do you even know how to flirt? How do you even know how to have a healthy conversation with someone to even gauge if you like them or not, or if they like you? You're probably
also,
so
like,
awkward.
There's like certain things where it's like, like, okay, if we're going on a long bus ride, like boys and girls, you're not sitting together because like kids are going to do stuff.
Yeah.
So there's like being like careful of things,
Yes.
but not even letting like people high five.
So you can't play dodgeball together.
Weird.
You're going to accidentally bump into each other. That's crazy. I could go on and on about these specific rules and guidelines, but my point is, it was suffocating. As I've gotten older, I have looked back and realized just how effed up Hillcrest was. I remember hearing that our old male pastors were sending out secretly taken pictures of young girls who attended the church. These photos showed the girls wearing bikinis at the pool and were apparently sent to show how inappropriately dressed they were. This instance hit me like a bucket of ice water and made me sick to my stomach. My question is, how do I move forward in life after being so wounded by these people? I can't go a single day without being affected by something from my past. I've gone through 4 years of college and I'm about to graduate nursing school and still cannot look at a boy romantically because it feels wrong and it feels dirty. I feel like I cannot trust my moral compass after having it warped for so many years. I am now a part of a great, she has in parentheses, non-toxic church, and have an amazing therapist and have worked so hard to be proud of the person I have become, but I still struggle so heavily in this area.
Yeah.
I went through a quote party stage in early college. I drank all the alcohol, kissed all the boys, and wore the skimpiest clothing. I have lived both extremes, and now I'm trying to find that balance.
Yeah.
I regularly attend and serve at my church, but I am always fighting the thought in my head that I am lukewarm Christian, which is a term that Christians use all the time for not being really in it. Because I no longer abide by the rules that were enforced upon me for years. I've thought about sitting down with my mom and talking through exactly what happened in those years and what made my parents stay for so long. My entire family has now left that church and we all happily attend somewhere else, but I don't know how to even initiate that or if it would be even helpful. I feel like this email was a mess, and honestly, I could talk about this situation for hours, but this story is already too long. Even if this wasn't read on the podcast, it feels so good to get these thoughts out into the world and not stuck in my head. Thank you again for all that you girls do. I hope to listen to your podcast even when I'm combing through my gray hair and getting ready for senior bingo. Girl,
Same.
careful. We hope to be recording this podcast
While playing
on
bingo.
our way to senior bingo. She says, I attached a picture below. All the love, Anonymous. And then here's a photo of Anonymous.
Cutie.
First of all, you're gorgeous.
Yeah.
You're stunning. You should always wear gold. I can't even begin to tell you, you wrote into the most perfect people.
Yeah.
Like, I have lived this experience. I wouldn't go as far to say cult, but also I feel like it wasn't far off. I feel like it was very kind of gray. And Taryne's grown up in church. So I feel like we both grew up in small Christian schools where rules were really strict. So I'm just so happy that you chose to write in because a lot of this really resonated with me. I know it did with Taryne, obviously.
Well, and
hence her tangent.
Yeah. A lot of people too, I feel like, have an experience, like whether they chose to stay in the church or if they're in a different religion or if they're just fully turned off by all of it, it's because of some type of experience like this where they're exposed to it. And I think it opens up a really big topic. And I was just talking to one of my friends the other day who, again, we like grew up together, and she was a Christian and a part of like Christian school and all this stuff. And now she's like decided like she doesn't want anything to do with that. And we were talking about it. And I think it brings up this big, what I think the bottom line issue is we forget that even though like church is meant to be this beautiful place, and like if you've read the Bible or you know anything about the Bible, like I believe it is meant to be this beautiful thing. It's still, they're all being ran by humans.
Yeah.
And humans are flawed. Humans have their own damage and trauma. Humans, I mean, if you look in history in general, like all of these crazy people that we look at and we're like, had such a terrible impact on the world, they're all just humans. And sometimes like the wrong type of humans get power that they shouldn't have. And so it's one of those things where it's really hard for a lot of people not to group and to hear like, you know, oh, you're a Christian, like, and they immediately go to the terrible things that some people have done in the name of being in a specific religion. And it's just so sad because if you strip all of it away, like the meat of what it means to me is that I love God and I love people. And out of love and the definition of love, a lot of the things that people are hurt by that the church have done, that's not love. And that's not like what we were meant to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it breaks my heart when I hear of these stories because it is so damaging because they tie it to your moral compass and your belief in if you are a good person or not, which is why people get control over you. Because it's easy to control if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to hell or I'm a bad person or I'm in trouble, right? Like those are the ways you control people. And so it's so sad to me when I hear about this, but it is such a freaking common thing. And even like Ash has had a crazy experience. Mine was like definitely not that bad, but there were even little things like in my upbringing that impacted me. So you're not alone at all. And it is something that's hard to go through. But the fact that you're in therapy and you've found a place that makes you feel safe and is slowly starting to heal some of that damage is huge.
Oh, 100%. I actually had, I feel like it was probably a few years. Actually, I think it was during COVID. I ended up having this kind of revelation and like distaste for church, and I ended up having a really great conversation with my mom about it. Taryne was there for like some of it.
Yeah.
And I think it was really helpful for me to vent about the struggles of feeling like I was dirty, I was sinning by liking clothes or by wearing skimpy clothes or by wanting to swim with my friends in a bathing suit, you know, like, and all of those things, whether it was intended or not. In my mom's case, I know it was not, but by other parents, I don't know, and other people in the church. But it was how it was communicated. And I understand modesty, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think it could have been a very wonderful conversation that we could have had about me prioritizing myself and prioritizing my body and cherishing my body. It should have nothing to do with the guys. They shouldn't have even been in the conversation.
Yeah.
This should have been about like, hey, like your body is a temple and you need to protect it and keep it safe and words like that, you know? And I think it could have been a really great girl to girl, woman to woman conversation instead of bringing boys into it, which had nothing to do with it whatsoever. And I had a really great conversation with my mom about it where she actually apologized for like her part and how she wasn't aware of how it was coming across, and she wasn't aware of other things that had happened to me. And it just helped me. It helped me vocalize. It helped me like tuck away any hurt that I had from those situations, and also know that like my mom was just trying to like take care of me in the best way that she knew how at that time. So I highly encourage you to have a talk with your mom. I can't guarantee that it'll go as well as mine did, but I think it would be very beneficial for you to be able to just like get it all off your chest to someone who was there and someone who was in it with you.
Yeah. And like, honestly, this is a very common thing, like for people to need to rewrite things that have damaged them. And that's not just in the church. I mean, like you have people who've gone through like emotional abuse, like all this stuff. Like there's so many of us that are trying to rewrite past traumas in our life. And I think the number one thing that helps that is finding a community that understands and that can help rewrite that stuff for you, or getting in therapy, or, you know, acknowledging and recognizing thought patterns that you can like combat. And I've talked about this before, but one of one of the things that like finally snapped in my mind that I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense is in a training I did for work where they were saying, if you're trying to get rid of a negative emotion, you have to replace it with a positive one. Like you can't just work on trying to be like, oh, don't think that, don't feel that, don't think that, don't feel that, because you're not giving yourself anything productive to then switch to. So a lot of recognize those unhealthy thoughts you have, like, oh my gosh, I'm bad because I'm wearing this, and find the opposite statement, thought, feeling, whatever it is, and start to practice that and have it almost be a mantra. So every time your mind goes to one place, you remind yourself of something else and like help it to like get that brain pathway to like form a detour. Another thing too is to recognize that a lot of time, like the things that people project onto you is their own trauma and their own thing that was projected onto them. And I remember I had a parent of one of my friends. She was so mad that there was this guy that my friend liked who asked me to a dance, and we were just friends. Like, I didn't know. And before I even said yes, I ran straight to her and was like, oh my gosh, like, I did not know. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'll say no. She was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. But I guess she was like more upset. And so I was over at her house playing, and we were like getting ready to go to something. And I remember I was so excited because I got this new like glitter eyeshadow. And so I like got ready, and I was so excited because like I finally was allowed to wear makeup and was getting ready. And as we're walking out the door, she was like, I'm not joking, basically told me that I should really think about the way that I am presenting myself and that I kind of looked like a prostitute. Because I had glitter
Cool.
on my eyelids.
How old were you?
We're talking like maybe a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
And I remember I got in the car and I just started crying because in my mind, I was like so embarrassed. I felt so ashamed. I was also like a prostitute. Like, you know what I mean?
That's harsh.
Oh my gosh. And
To
I
a
was
high schooler.
I couldn't recognize at that time that was just that person's ugliness seeping out onto me.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you have a hard time protecting yourself from that. So a lot of times, like when you're older, like you need to go within and speak for that version of yourself that didn't understand what was happening and be like, no. That was their stuff. Like that was their unhealthy patterns. That was their whatever. And like, you got to push it back. Like, you got to kind of like reject it. Like, I'm rubber, you're glue. Like, I'm not going to let anything come to me, because it is really hard when someone puts their own trauma onto you. And when they attach it to something that's like religion or your identity, it's so damaging.
Eternal life.
Literally, it's so damaging.
Yeah.
But I think we've all, and I think that's something all of us have gone through, especially those of us who were raised in the church. I went through the same thing where I started hanging out with people that were outside of what quote unquote are church people. And I loved them. And I thought they were beautiful people. And so I had these people who were a different sexuality or who dressed different or had piercings all over their face. And I watched the way that I would be like, oh my gosh, come to my church with me. Like, it's great. It's beautiful. And when they would come, I would watch the way that they were treated. And I had a very, very hard time with that of like, I don't understand because that's not what I'm here for and like supporting. You know what I mean? So I think we've all had that time where we broke off from like, what is it that I really believe in? Like, what's my foundation and what am I going to be moving forward? And, I remember I've shared this before, but I remember like one time I was like crying because I was just like, my identity was confused about like what I believed. And I remember reading, there's like this specific verse where all these like leaders and like people were asking Jesus, like, what is the most important thing that we should do? And like he answers, love God and love people. And then there's also a part in the Bible where it says what love is, and it's patient, it's kind, it's like all of these things that I was like, okay, that's all I need to know moving forward. And like that helped me to like reform what it is that I believe and how I feel like people should be treated. And so I feel like for you, Anonymous, like you've got to figure out a way to like separate what it is that like you believe in who you are and deal with that trauma and that damage and healing that. But also you need to rebuild your foundation, because I think that's why it still feels shaky.
Yeah.
Is because you haven't like rebuilt for yourself like who it is that you are and what you believe. But we all have been through it, and like being on this side, and Ash too, like it's so much more freeing when you're on this side, but it is very crazy to watch and hear people say things that you're like, oh, girl, same.
Yeah. Like it's like
Same.
reading that, I was like, was I in a cult?
Yeah. No, dude, Ash, some of your stories, I'm
swear.
actually mind blown.
It's
Mind
wild.
blown.
It's so wild. And I think, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into a whole tangent, but I do think churches are safe places for all kinds of people. And I think all kinds of people can get put into leadership roles that maybe they shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Just because you work at the church shouldn't make you a pastor. Or
Yep.
just because you go to the church doesn't mean you should have a pastor role, and doesn't mean you should be in charge of children, and doesn't mean that you should be leading this group, you
Yep.
know? And I think a lot of that gets very blurred and grayed in churches, and unfortunately will affect those people that are being blindly led,
Yeah.
you know? And I think predominantly children in the blindly led category. So I think there's a lot of us that are looking back at old childhood memories of growing up in church and being like, ugh,
Yeah. Ooh.
what?
Yeah.
Like, are what? Like, how did that happen? And I think that's very unsettling.
Yeah.
And that puts an ick in our mouths. And I think as an adult looking back, I completely agree with Taryne. I think only you know what sits right with your soul, and only you knows what's best for your life. And I think moving forward from there, you can decide like what you want to believe, adhere to, rules you want to have, like all of that stuff. And then that you can teach your kids about. And if you have a baby girl one day, you can tell her about how beautiful her body is, and you can not even mention about how it's going to affect what she wears. It affects guys, like how that messed all of us up. So I'm excited for it's crazy, but I'm excited for this new chapter for you of like separating yourself from how you were raised and creating a new version of like how you want to move forward and be. And I think that's going to be a beautiful chapter for you.
Yeah.
But I love that you wrote in about this. I feel like this isn't a topic that we talk about a lot. And Taryne and I get heated about stuff like this. It's so crazy how we don't talk about it. Like a lot of people have gone through stuff like this and don't talk about it. So if you have a weird experience that you had in church or just growing up or whatever, it doesn't have to be church related, please send it in, because we need to talk about more stuff like this. It's fascinating.
Yeah, and it makes me so sad. And me and Ash have talked about this. I remember, do you remember that one year at Coachella, we were walking and there was like a group of people with their like not air horns, what is it called? Megaphones. And they were screaming out that all of us were going to hell.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember
they're there every year.
Yeah. I'm walking and I'm like listening to them. And it was just like, I felt like I was like, oh my gosh. It's like the perverted uncle in your family that you're like, I swear we're not related. Like, it's just like, there's so many things that I get so upset, and I wish I could just shake these people and be like, what do you actually think you're going to accomplish? You know, because I'm walking with some of my friends that are the most beautiful souls ever. And they're like, you know, screaming out, if you're gay, you're going to hell. And like, I'm just like looking at some of my friends who are gay, and I'm like, I'm not them. Like, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's so much that like, I think that's why me and Ash get so heated, is because what we have like come to know and is a part of us is such a beautiful thing. And it should be something that impacts the world in a good way, and should be something that like spreads love and like makes people like find hope in life. And instead it's become this thing that like you're almost embarrassed to say like you're a part of like a church or a Christian, like, because of how much hurt is there.
Just having to put on a t-shirt to swim. Yeah.
And there's so many things that you could teach in a different way.
It's the human body. And like at a certain point, like we all should like love and appreciate the human body. And like you shouldn't be hiding it from boys. And in some ways I'm like, isn't that just going to entice them more about like what's under there, you know?
Like Nick on New Girl, and he's like, it's sweater weather. I gotta know what's under all those layers.
You know? And like, I feel like I've been grown up now for a time. I feel like I've seen other households do it so much better where it's like, no, that's a girl, that's a bathing suit, get over it. Like,
yeah,
whatever you're dealing to the boy is obviously what I'm talking about. Teaching boys that girls have bodies and like it's okay for them to be in a bathing suit is a beautiful thing. And I think teaching girls that they have beautiful bodies and don't need to hide them. I'm not saying don't wear nothing.
Well, but there's a total difference. Yeah,
for the human body, and it's so weird.
There's a difference from protecting young girls of like what's appropriate to wear or not for like their age.
Yeah.
And then there's also like teaching them to like love. I still to this day struggle with wearing tight tops because when I walk into a room, every single man that's there is going to glance at my chest, like without fail.
Yeah.
And I'm not wearing like a see-through top.
Nope.
I'm not wearing like a skin tight, whatever. If I'm just wearing a normal top, like I will get looked at. And for me, I really struggle with like not being in control with like who looks at my body, which is why I've always worn like baggier stuff. But I'm still trying to mentally like come to a place where I'm like, this is not inappropriate. It's just a shirt.
It's a t-shirt.
It's just the body I've been given.
And you need to go deal with your issues.
Yeah,
because if that's the first thing that happens to you, like you clearly are not settled as like a man or woman, whatever. Like what if this is turning you on and like causing you to just be distracted and causing you to sin?
The way you said that,
you need to get on your knees and chat with God, because like there's a problem. Like it's a t-shirt. Like what that's as modest as it gets.
I know.
So anyways, we're going to stop talking about this now because the episode's over, but it's ridiculous. And I love that you wrote about this, and hopefully this starts a new chapter of us talking about past church issues, because we're here to talk about it. Yeah. And I hope that you know that you're not alone, and thank God for never having to swim in a t-shirt again.
Dude, it's dangerous.
It's hard. It is not fun. Like it wasn't a fun swim. It was a freaking workout.
And then when you get out and it's like...
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's a wet t-shirt contest and they're like, honey, go change. And I'm like, I can't win. I can't win.
I'm dead.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm literally
Can we wrap
dead.
it up with a dad joke?
Yes, of course. I would love to. How did the two cats end their fight?
Can you give me a hint?
I'm just going to say it.
Damn it. Okay.
They hissed and made up.
They hissed and made up. Sounds like something a cat would do.
Right? I can't relate because I'm allergic, but
guys, if you made it to the dad joke, you already know we love you the mostest. Check out our Supercast. It's really cool, and we have scary stories there now. If you have a story that you've been sitting on and you want advice on, guess what? We take all kinds.
We take all kinds.
You don't need our permission. You don't need to be told. You just got to do it, and we can't record without your story. So take this as a sign to write in your story.
Just a reminder. You can also send in other people's stories that you've heard of. Yeah. I mean, obviously get their permission or change details, but just
your
saying.
Besties, your coworkers, your grandpas, it doesn't matter. We want them all. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. We love you so much.
Talk to you soon. Bye.